the stars be with you. All right, I'm so happy to welcome this week's guest, Melanie Esperon. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Another fellow Cancer, just in case you're wondering, the water vibes are in the air. And so Melanie is a local here in San Diego, but I'm not going to tell you about her. She is going to tell you about her. So Melanie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me first and foremost.
Yes, so glad, so grateful to have you.
I'm a local Reiki teacher, so I teach Reiki trainings around San Diego, and I'm a clairvoyant channel, which is I do a lot of individual sessions for almost the past 10 years with many different people from all walks of life, and I channel their loved ones who've crossed over or just simply provide guidance from the other side for them.
Yes, and I'm super interested. I got chills as you said that. And so I'm super interested to hear all about that and how that works and just clairvoyance in general. And that's why we have the topic of this week, which is water vision, because I think of it as water vision, so it's like that intuitive faculty. So into the mind of a clairvoyant, and that would be Melanie. And it seems so perfect for this week. I mean, astrologically speaking, we have a full moon in Pisces, which Pisces is very watery and definitely touches upon that surface realm that we can't, well, that isn't at the surface, rather. It's tapping into a whole nother faculty of awareness a lot of times. And there's just that knowing there. And I think clairvoyance would definitely fit in, or any type of awareness that is not something that is necessarily tangible. So I thought, what better week to kind of talk about all this. So let's just start first with what is clairvoyance? Can you tell us what is it?
Absolutely. Well, the literal translation from French to English means clarity or clear seer. So clairvoyance is really reading between the lines with your mind's eye, being able to see past, a smile and see what's really behind all that, seeing behind the mask, or even seeing colors or auras with your mind's eye or your physical eye, spirit connection.
Nice. And so it's not, it can be internal and it can be on the outside, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
And of course, well, now I want to know, do you see both, or is it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes it's a little much. Definitely physical signs, and I know a lot of people can relate to this when, say, someone passes and they always see a hummingbird and it reminds them of their grandma. That's the energy of their grandma sending something so they can physically see a reminder of their energy. Or if you have a dream, that's a form of clairvoyancy where spirit comes to you in your most meditative state. So there's different levels of clairvoyancy, and the cool thing is everyone can touch it if they want to.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit, because I was curious myself. And I guess I'm personally am a very avid dreamer. Like, I have hundreds of pages of dreams throughout the years. So I never really thought about it like that because I wasn't in waking state, but I guess it is. I mean, you're still seeing through that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting. So how did you know that you had this gift? Like, when did it kind of come and you're like, oh my God, what is this?
Totally. Actually, really. When I was 6 years old, I saw my first ghost with my physical eyes in the hallway where I was living. It freaked me out, like any kid would react, and I'm crying and screaming. And then as I got older, I started developing my gifts and understanding them through my grandma, actually, because she's very clairvoyant. So she helped guide me a lot before I met a lot of my healing teachers along the way in my early 20s.
Oh, interesting. I don't even know how I would react as a child to see that. Because I was kind of the opposite. Like, I had this, I was a little more obsessive compulsive when I was a kid. And I had this just fear of someone coming to kill me. And I know it sounds like drastic, and no child should have to feel this way. But I really, I don't know if maybe that was kind of like a past life memory that was kind of haunting me. But I had a legitimate fear of, like, I couldn't sleep unless I was looking at the window. Like, I'd have to see that, so I can't even imagine. I'm glad that didn't happen to me, because I would have probably lost my shit, just to be honest. But wow, that is something a lot to take in as a child. So I'm sure, but I guess it was always there. It was presenting itself to you.
I guess I just became conscious at 6. And the coolest part about this gift is as around 6 to 10 years old, I realized that any dreams or visions that I would have, whichever ones I decided to write down that were so clear to me, my family and I and some doctors who I was analyzed at that time, we noticed patterns that any dream I would write would literally come true exactly a year to the date. Crazy.
What?
Yeah, so I was like, I have superpowers at 10, right? If my mom got remarried, she got remarried a year later. If someone moved, they would move. If it was about a stranger, I would meet them a year later and deliver a message. Yeah.
That is so wild. Like my whole body is tingling right now as you're talking about this.
Yeah, prophecy.
That is wild. Oh, but so cool. So, now that you know that you kind of had this natural talent, and of course you're going to be analyzed because as a kid, well, let's look into this a little bit more. My special child, my indigo child. So, okay, so that you have that natural talent. Now, how can one develop it? Like, what is it that you can do to kind of like, amp up the gift a little bit or to connect with it, I guess?
I do actually. Right now, my career has taken me into more of a mentorship where I have people who want to develop their instincts and their sixth senses. And one of them is Clairvoyant Training. And, I don't necessarily tell people I'm going to make you clairvoyant, but I help them, I give them all the tools, at least from what I've learned, to connect. And the number one thing out of all of it with many other tools is meditation. When you close your eyes or when you go deeper within, what happens is you get to know yourself. And then you start to feel, once you feel comfortable there, you start to get to feel the other presences around you. And then when you can connect slowly and feel safe, that's when I always tell people that's when you can get the universe on speed dial. That's when you can connect fast. And that's when they start to show you things or make you feel things or know things. And then you start to see like this alignment. So you can easily develop it. It just has to be very consistent. Kind of like just going to the gym and being consistent with your workouts. You have to consistently work this muscle of sight or knowing with the other side.
Yeah. So it's almost like you have to work it by being open, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's almost like you don't do something. It's rather the other way around. Like
it's just shut off. Absolutely. So meditation would be the key to getting closer to yourself, which you really think about it, yourself is source. You're connected to source or the light or the universe, whatever you want to call it. So the more and more you go deeper within, the more and more you can connect fast.
Yes. So basically you have to give yourself the opportunity. Like it's not necessarily going to just happen unless maybe you're like Melanie, where, you just kind of have a stronger gift of it all. Because, some people are like that. Like, I'm sure you had it come to you when you weren't trying in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have a story of shutting it down for 15 years and not wanting it because it can be, if you're not guided in the right way, it could really scare you or it could make you feel weird or, because in society we have rules of how to be normal, and definitely I didn't accept the gift for a long time.
Yeah. I bet I can see, well, because, essentially, well, especially cancers, we want to belong to some extent and we want to fit in. And so if you're a little different, where does that leave you per se? Like, you be ousted a little when you're like, oh, she's a little different.
Yeah.
But we're all different in our own way, and so that just happens to be one of your ways of difference, which I think is very, very cool.
Thank you.
And it reminds me of this guy that I knew a while back. His name was Brian, who he told me a story years ago where he was in this boat, or he was working on the boat with his friend, and they were at the marina and they were going there every day to kind of fix this thing up. And then one day he was supposed to meet his friend there, and he drove to the place, parked, and then a vision flashed in front of his eyes, and all he got was like he saw like flames, and it was like go back like that. And so he didn't get out of the car, and like he just was like, he's a Cancer too, which is funny. He just backed up and went home, and his friend was waiting on him, and so he just calls to tell him when he gets home, what's going on. And his friend was like, oh my God, you're so lucky you didn't come in. There was the boat next to them, either the boat next to them or their boat had a fuel line issue, and there was an explosion.
Wow.
And it like tore off half the boat. No, it was his boat, because he said that that was the area he was working on the boat. And so, yeah, had he not had that vision, he would have been in that place at the time of the explosion.
Wow. He was definitely guided, huh?
He was, yes. And,
those to amaze me.
Right. It can happen. Those things can happen. So, so do you have any experiences in particular that stand out to you? I'm sure that you've had many by this time, but.
Yeah. Like precautionary ones. Yeah. This one can bring you into a sad level. And before I even tell the story, I don't want people to feel bad for me. It was one of my catalysts to actually doing this work professionally. But in my mid-20s, the only vision for me, right? Because as a clairvoyant or someone who's intuitive, they usually can read everyone but themselves, right? Because if I knew, or if every clairvoyant knew things about themselves, it wouldn't be fair, or it wouldn't be a real gift, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. So my intention with telling you this story is for people to just understand this gift. But in my mid-20s, I had a vision of this beautiful man, blonde hair, blue eyes, and he told me in this vision, you will marry me. And I was like, who are you talking to, me? Excuse me? And he told me, I go, what is your name? And he goes, Fire. And I go, huh. And when this happened, I just kind of put it in the back burner, wrote it in my journal. And a year to the date, in comes a man, blonde hair, blue eyes. And he was a firefighter. And we ended up getting married and falling in love. Crazy. But to top it off, what happened was we're in union and we're happy. And there was one day I had a vision of him passing away very tragically. And in that moment when I received that message, you think as a human, it's a fear-based vision or, whatever it was, false. But deep down I knew, because of these gifts that I've had since I was a child, that I had a year left. And that really was the case. So precautionaries from spirit, they gave me visions of him passing away, and he did. But it's a beautiful thing, because now I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing 10 years later, and I love it. So yeah, this gift is real, and spirit will show you things that you need to see to prepare yourself, or for me to see to tell my clients, and it can alter where they're at in their journey, for sure.
Yeah, that's very powerful information, and especially coming on a personal level, because you're not consoling someone else at that point. You are
living it, right?
You're living it, exactly. And so I can't even imagine how you felt in that time leading up to it, more than anything. But like you said, like it was an experience that necessitated what you had to go through in order to bring you to where you are just helping so many people now and sharing that gift with the world. And so it's like he was an angel
that's it. That's it.
It just came to life just to like help you, in this.
I mean, I wouldn't think about it in that way 10 years ago, but absolutely.
Yes, I'm sure. Well, I always like to look at the charts of, who I have on and stuff. And you have, that moon in Libra, and it's conjunct Pluto. And so Libra is, the sign that is usually associated with partnerships or finding that other or making that connection. And Pluto, is the lord of the underworld. It drags you under. You have to go through an experience that the only way you can, get through, the only way you can go through it is literally through. It's like Alice's rabbit hole in a sense. And so a lot of times, most often it's associated with death, because it takes us, like Persephone's journey when she had to go to the underworld, half of the year, that's why we have winter. And essentially, so when I saw your chart and I knew that you kind of had that background and an experience like that, it made a lot of sense to me. It doesn't make it easy, but it made a lot of sense for what you had to go through. And especially since you have a first quarter moon position, you're always pushing. So you weren't going to let that get you down. If anything, it motivated you to move forward.
Oh, it's so crazy how you can read that in astrology. It fascinates me what you do. It really does.
Well, likewise. So that's why it's so awesome to come together and have these conversations and just talk about, so many gifts that life has to offer in many ways to help us understand ourselves and, you know, take out the chaos that life can seem sometimes, you know.
Right.
I mean, how many people come to you, Melanie, and you know, you just channel something for them that is just like that peace, just something that just helps give them peace.
Life-changing, right? So many, and I really, every day, seriously, I just told my client right before we got on today how grateful I am, because I get to be like front row seat in front of people's transformations, and it trips me out that I got picked for it, or I chose it, or whatever it is. It's really cool to see. It's humbling.
Oh, well, I love that you say that, because you are a Virgo rising, which Virgo is all about humility. You know, they're willing to serve, that because that's when you're of service to people in general. There is that humility that has to come in order to, you know, serve people with the best of intentions, and especially, you know, healing work. And I can see that in your chart too. I won't go and just read
so cool
here, but well, because I was just thinking, you know, at the top of your chart, you know, you're a Reiki practitioner, and your midheaven, which is our kind of career point, what people know us for and how we, you know, are seen in the public, is in Gemini. We're talking about hands.
Okay. Oh, that's so cool. That makes sense.
It conjunct your North Node, which is the direction that the spirit or the soul wants to go in this life. Gotcha. And conjunct Chiron, which is the wounded healer.
Wow. That is so spot on.
Well, and you said earlier, when you're like, you know, I have this gift where I can, you know, help and heal other people, but that doesn't mean that I have that facility to myself.
Yes.
And that's the very essence of Chiron, basically, is that you can't fully heal your own wound, but it's almost like you learn to manage it. And then through that experience, you can share that and teach those things to others. And so, like, as I was watching the chart, and we're stepping into Virgo action this week. So when this episode airs, the sun will be moving into Virgo, which is so perfect that you're a Virgo rising, and we're talking about kind of, you know, healing and just, well, we'll get into some tips here in a second, because I want to pick your brain for like the Reiki side of your brain, but I definitely wanted to get more into the clairvoyance first, because I'm personally fascinated. And so let's see here. So okay, well, we talked about activating the gift, like you have to be open to it. Yes. Rather than it just being like, how long is the process? Is it something that you got so good at you can just be like, oh,
yeah, man. Right. You know, it's truly, and I tell everyone, it's up to spirit. I don't know how long I'll have this gift, if they'll take it away, or if I have forever in this lifetime. So it differs for everyone, but I've seen people have this since birth and not want to harness it, and nothing really come through very clearly. And then I've had people say, I really want to help people with like the highest intention. I'm feeling called to do it. And they go into meditation, they do the retreats, they do the prayers, they do the exercises, and it comes fast. So I don't really think it's time. I just think it's really of wanting to be conscious of it. It's all around us. And, you know, a lot of us healers talk about the veil has been lifted. Everyone is changing. Yeah. I mean, to me, I'm seeing it in San Diego. Everyone wants to go green and healthy and back to plant medicine, because that's where we're from. And I think that's happening with people just realizing who they are, which is we're all born with the gift of sight, and to know and to feel and to hear. And if you just pause, or just take a moment to be still and to listen, whether it's through this channel or through this channel, spirit wants to speak to you. And they're always in yes mode anyway. So if you're asking for something, they'll give it to you. So what I've learned is the moment you step in fully. And if you're inching in, that's cool too. Just be ready to receive if that's the choice that you're making.
And so I'm wondering if some of the people, as people start to hone in on these gifts and like work through like the training, is there some people that have like literal visions, and then some people that have more symbolic visions? Absolutely. This is the one thing I train on, and it's so cool. It's called Make Your Spiritual Dictionary. Create it. Meaning, some people go, Mel, I can't see literally like you. Like, your visions are like, someone's going to walk in tomorrow and they're going to change your life. Boom. Yeah, very literal. But
the thing that people don't understand is since 6 years old, I've been creating this language with the other side, with the universe, saying, hey, if I have a vision about a bunny, that means rebirth. And if I have a vision about a man who is pregnant, that really can't happen in the physical world, but that to me means a new man with new ideas coming into your life. So I've subconsciously and consciously created this language. And so when people keep seeing things very consistently, whether it's numbers 1111 on the clock, or I don't know, a fire truck every day at noon keeps passing by, this is spirit trying to get your attention. And so if they don't give you a clear cut what this means, then you get to define it. You say, every time I see 1111, that means love, whatever it is. And then as you start developing your dictionary, when you get any person in front of you to deliver a message, spirit will talk in your reference. They'll give you something that you've seen before and you've acknowledged before. And then you could say, I'm seeing this man who's pregnant in your mind, and there's a person in front of you who's talking about career change. You could say, is your business partner a man with so many ideas? And when that person in front of you goes, yeah, how'd you know that? Because you have your own language. So define your spiritual dictionary, whether you're 80 years old or 5, create it now, because the universe is always wanting to speak to you. That's how we navigate anyway, through gut feelings and through a lot of things unsaid. So,
I love that, defining the spiritual dictionary, because I think it's so funny because you're saying you bring up numbers, because obviously, I'm sure we know how many people they reach out and they're like, Mel, because we're both Mels here. Such a fantastic name. And so they're like, Mel, what, I keep seeing 444. What does that mean? And I can kind of get in there with some numerology, but I kind of really like what you're saying, because if you're seeing something so many times over, then what does it mean to you?
That's it.
What pops into your mind when you see 444? You're excited to see it again, but what little inkling is coming in to help define that? Because it can be different for anybody that, has that experience, because, well, that really ties into being the observer and the creator in life, right? Yes. Because essentially we are creating our experience. So it is up to us to define that spiritual dictionary in a way. Oh, I love that, Melanie. That's very cool. I love symbolism just in general. So I'll have to get in there. I think I've been developing. Yeah, I like it. So we have our Reiki Master here as well. And so I'm wondering if when you're doing like Reiki treatments, if kind of the clairvoyance starts to come in with that practice as well. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's why I was drawn to Reiki. When I started this practice 10 years ago, I had a teacher, or still have a teacher. Her name is Joy, and she's my Reiki Master, and she does clairvoyant readings. And I went to her just to get some clarity on life, and she kept talking about, you need healing, you need to clear blockages. And I didn't know what Reiki was. But when she trained me and I finally understood how these channels work and blockages, attachments work, when I started working on myself and clients, I would definitely get visions by placing my hands on top of their energy. That's just the way I do it. And I'm starting to realize a lot of healers who are Reiki trained do the same thing, and they didn't even realize they're clairvoyant. It's just they're so open that spirit will kind of just squeeze their way in any way possible to give us some sort of image or inkling of the message they're trying to pass along.
Yeah.
So, they definitely intertwine.
Yes. And it would make sense because, there's a lot of time when you're doing Reiki, there's a lot of stillness. There's and like you're saying, you're channeling that energy, because Reiki, the energy channels through you, right? It's not like, like you have the lightning hands, it's all coming through. So I would assume that along the way, maybe some of that other
all funneled in, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I have a good friend of mine, my spiritual gal pal, Kiki Matoba. If you're out there, Kiki, listening, what's up? She's the one who got me, and she's a Reiki master now. She lives up in LA. And so when she was first trying out, she would practice on me and our friends and stuff like that. And she would always, she would kind of give me senses of what she was feeling, or maybe even heat based, or like something that would come to her. And it was just all based on that motion and just her being open. And then And then it would surprise me because sometimes we'd have like some of the same things happening on either end. Like I was receiving it, she was getting it as well. And then we kind of met in our after talk of it all, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah, I've always found Reiki very fascinating and a very useful tool because that is real. Like
it really is.
It is
right?
so real.
Yeah. You go into someone's energy. I mean, if you think about it, energy is the foundation of body work, getting to know someone. You can read someone just by feeling their energy. If you go into, I don't know, say like a funeral and you don't even know the person who's passed, but you could feel the sadness in the room, right? Or you go to a party and you could feel the joy. I mean, it's just a natural thing that we're all surrounded by energy. We are energy. So if you learn more about it, whether you become a Reiki teacher or master, or just understand what it is, that too can help you navigate. We have all these cool tools accessible to us. And I just preach or tell people, learn as much as you can. This is why we're here anyway, to learn and just to share, really.
Yeah. And I think that's why originally when I came up with the idea of energetic principles, you know, back in like 2012, like that was kind of the idea. The name came to me and I was like, it was perfect because it was an umbrella. Everything fit under it. Anything, everything's energy, you know, like I could talk about anything and it would, you know, tap into that because essentially we're all just, you know, these vibrating, buzzing, you know, like energetic beings that are, you know, connecting with other people. Even if we're like us connecting through a computer right now, I still feel you. Like,
absolutely.
You know, like when you're saying certain things, like my body lights up listening to it, you know, that's energy transferring along. And, you know, even Reiki could be like that, right? Because there's remote healings, right?
Yes.
And
you could work on people. You know, I even tell people, what is distance healing? People have a question about Reiki because Reiki is energy healing, right? And in person, it makes sense. But how can you touch someone so far? And I always say, you know, whenever your friend texts you who lives in Florida and they're saying, send me love, I'm about to go into a test, and you text them and say, thinking of you, you're sending energy their way and they can feel that. Or a lot of people will tell me when I'm explaining what energy is or Reiki, I'll say, do you ever have like just a thought about someone and you think of them and you miss them and then all of a sudden they call you that day? It's because there's an energy field that's so big and we can attach to people easily just by thought. So distance healing has its place definitely in this world.
Which begs to bring up when we're thinking things that are not that great, or if we're angry with the situation or, you know, whatever, you know, that still transfers as well, which I
absolutely
have come to learn. Yes. So yeah, if you're stewing inside or you're wishing someone unwell or harm, you know, like it really doesn't stay inside of you. That is out for the world to see and to feel and to take in.
Yes.
So just a little word to the wise, the more you know.
Learn how to protect yourself, everyone.
Yes. And so, you know, and it's not to be scared of it because we all have those thoughts. We all get caught in some anger or get frustrated with other people or situation. But it is good to know just how powerful that can be.
Absolutely. Everything is a thought. So if you understand that energy is powerful, then you want to keep your thoughts very positive because I believe you can manifest anything. So if you keep saying, I'm sick, guess what? You're going to be more sick. Or if you say, I'm healthy, you're going to be healthy. Your body believes your mind first, and then you speak it, and then it becomes your energy, your reality. So I don't know. To me, it's fact almost.
Yeah. So. No, I feel you because that's a certain point you watch it transpire so many times. You see, it's like, that's the thing. I was talking about this the other day with someone, I can't remember who, but we were talking about like kind of the scientific method and how kind of science can debunk a lot of this stuff or tries to because they can't put that tangible measure on something.
Yes.
But at the same time, people like myself and Melanie are constantly doing the tangible measure by our own experiences. And at some point that experiential knowledge has to count for something, right?
Yep. So. Absolutely. It shows itself, definitely. Validation after validation. And, you know, sometimes I'll go into session thinking, what do I do like for a living? Yeah. And then the moment I'm done with my sessions for the day or training or big training, whatever it is, by the end of that, Spirit has validated me over and over. And it's like, okay, this is why I do this. Because it's real.
It's right.
It's
It is real. It's real. And all of us know it, you know, when you come in contact with it, you know it. And that's why,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Can't deny it.
can't deny, you know, because, you know, especially with astrology, you're always going to get that. I have a few people that have come up to me in my time and be like, I don't believe in it. And blah,
Yeah,
blah,
yeah.
blah. And just have this like this strong conviction about astrology. And I'm like, oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Have you extensively studied and like stayed with this for a long time to be able to, you know, really formulate that belief off of something that is, you know,
real.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a kind of catch-22 that's going on with the,
absolutely,
you know, like, so I laugh it off these days, but when I've gotten heated before, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, just
let them
let
be.
them not know what they're talking about. It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Choose your battles, right?
Right. Choose those battles. Oh my gosh. So now that we're entering Virgo season at this time of year, which is going to be great for a Virgo rising like yourself. It's almost like the time of year when you get kind of reborn with this, you know, kind of personal
thank God.
oomph and vibe. Yeah. Leo season will not be the best for you because it's a lot of kind of, lower energy, you know, like having to release things and work through unconscious blocks and stuff like that. But yeah, you're going to be stepping into that, you know, a little more that Virgo. So we want to know about that practical Virgo energy because I figured, you know, you might have some tips for people to kind of help, because Virgo is all about not all about, but it is about purifying and, you know, kind of cleansing out what is around us in the body. Because if we think about Virgo, we think about the Virgin, you know, there's a Virgin to it. Yeah. And so do you have any like tips for people to kind of clear or purify the energy or their energy, or just simple things that others can do on their own type of thing?
Absolutely, like trimming the fat, right? Let's see. I do so many different things. My most favorite thing I would say is at the end of the day, I always go into my bathtub and I take a bath. I'll use Epsom salts and sea salt, and I'll have layers of crystals that speak to me. And I'll just sit there, and then I'll watch, when I'm done with my bath, I'll watch it flow down the drain to release any extra energy that no longer serves me. I'll light candles and say I don't have time for a bath, right? I'll light a white candle and I'll do a prayer of what I want to release today and what I want to replace it with. Whether it's I release feeling tired and I replace it with energy. Whatever it is, I put my wishes into that flame and then I blow it out. And then, of course, getting Reiki done is essential. It's something I do every day on myself and clients. And it's you staying conscious with any blockages or attachments that have come to you into your energy, and you realizing that you don't need it anymore. So when you give it back to sender, or you give that attachment to the light, you literally physically feel lighter, and which means no blockages equals clarity, right? You can now navigate easily on the freeway you're on, the journey you're on, or if you're trying to merge off a freeway that doesn't feel good to you, getting Reiki done or getting a bath done or releasing something with just your words can keep you clean from anything that doesn't serve you, anything negative. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Walking, right? Just walking, staring at the sky, taking a moment. All of that is active meditation, movement. And then, of course, the very last one is meditation, being in stillness, just listening, breathing, and getting cues from spirit.
I'm like, I think I just went in meditation as you were talking about this. I'm like, just listening to her, like, oh,
yes,
I feel good just listening to her. Oh, well, I love the bath suggestion, especially for a full moon in Pisces. You know, if we're trying to tap into that water vibe.
Yes.
And like I love what you said too about letting the water go down the drain at that point, because it is a form of release. And Pisces energy definitely has that kind of release vibe, because it's mutable energy. It's about transition. It's moving from one state to another. And so that's the kind of nice thing about this upcoming full moon, is that we actually have an opportunity to release a lot of things and kind of like transition our emotional states into a better vibe. And I do have to laugh as you're like, the first thing you say is the bath. And of course I have a significant other who is a Virgo. And what does he do every day when he gets home from work? Right in that bath. My goodness, it's like clockwork.
It is the best thing ever. It's like your time, right? You can't answer the phone, just sit there. It's healing.
It is. And I should definitely take a cue from both of you. Because I don't,
that spirit saying something to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even when I think about when I was a kid, I used to go swimming every day. Like there was not a day you did not find me in the pool. Of course, I don't have access to a pool like I did when I was younger. But I, from time to time, I think about how that experience is no longer in my life and how important it was at some point to me, and whenever I'm in water, I just feel, joy felt full. Like it's just,
I mean, we're both Cancers, right? We get it.
We get it. Yes. And I'm a Scorpio rising too. So I'm like, get me in there.
You need to make a pool in your backyard.
I know. I'm eventually I've been working on my own manifestation tools on a home of some sort here eventually. And it would be nice to have a pool or a hot tub. I can get down with the hot tub too.
You'll take both. Thank you, Spirit.
Yes, thank you. Yes, they usually come in pairs, right? Yep, one for the other. So yes, I'll keep that in mind. So now I know that you have a lot of things that you do here in San Diego and, places that you operate out of. So I want you to tell the people, where they can find Melanie and just, what you got going on, because you're very involved in the community. So a San Diegan should know.
Yeah, born and raised San Diego. I want to touch everyone as much as I can. I have my private practice in Claremont area where I do Reiki sessions and readings. And one-on-one trainings. And then when they're not one-on-one trainings, when they're group trainings, there's a place called Sojourn Healing Collective in Bankers Hill. And I utilize that space for trainings and small community events and yoga, all of the above. So you can find me in 2 locations or via Zoom or on FaceTime, right? Again, the remote healing can happen via all this electronics that we have now. It's so amazing how there's no excuse to connect.
Yeah, right. No, it can happen any way, shape, or form. Like that's what technology brings us. So we might as well take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
And give it a go.
Yeah.
So now, where do you have websites for those things? And or Instagrams and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. My website is reikiroomsandiego.com, and you'll find all the events there, and then the links to the social media pages, the Facebook and Instagram, just to stay updated. But this Sunday, actually, I'm going to be participating in Yoga After Dark, which is at Horton Plaza Park, where there's this big yoga event going on, and then on the sides of it, there's a vendor booth called Chakra Station with a few different Reiki teachers in San Diego who will be offering Reiki to the yogis wanting to flow. So there's always an event going on. So come see us.
Yes, check it out. And all those links that she just said too, I'll have them all on my blog page, so you can reach out to Melanie and get connected there. Because you always have things going on. Like, I mean, I regretfully have not been to any because it'll happen one day. It will.
Totally.
It will.
Whenever you feel called.
Yeah, I know, this Cancer homebody.
Yeah, same. I understand.
It's true. The stereotypes are true, people.
Yep.
But I always look at them and they just look, and there's always such great feedback too, because I'll have either friends that go or the event pages themselves just be like, oh my God, it was such a great time, or I just feel so cleared, or like, and then I think Toby had something. Because okay, let me get this out of my mouth. Because Toby was on a few episodes ago, and I just loved her. And I believe, did you teach her, or were you part of it?
I trained her in Reiki, and she's going to become a Reiki Master in a few weeks, actually, here at Reiki Room. But I mean, she's been doing her own personal work for 20 years. And the podcast with you guys about emotional intelligence, I mean, she knows what she's doing. Because you know why? She's been through it. She lives it. So when you meet healers, you can feel them because, I don't know, there's a certain compassion we all hold because we've been there. So yeah, massive respect to Toby. She does the work and she shares really generously with her words. She's amazing.
She is amazing.
Yeah.
She definitely, she touched me as well. Oh yes. So if you haven't heard that episode, go back and listen to it. Because her stories, like it's timeless. You can go back at any time and listen to it, and her words and her delivery, and yeah, she's just awesome. A nice Sagittarius Pisces mix. So she has that Pisces.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's right. I love what she said on the podcast. I think she was saying, she's like, I'm either too much or not enough. Yeah. And that, that speaks to Sagittarius energy just in general, because it's a very enthusiastic, outgoing energy. But what can happen sometimes with Sagittarius is there can be a self-confidence issue or so that's, it was perfect. And I loved her words. So of course you guys would know each other.
Yeah, totally. Yep. And see her for Reiki too. She'll be at Sojourn where I do my group trainings. She's has more workshops to come, and she'll be participating in the event called Reiki Hour, where we're offering Reiki after work time, just kind of like happy hour, but instead of alcohol, it's Reiki infused. So yeah, she'll be showing up a lot soon too.
That seems like a much better Pisces alternative, because Pisces can be known to throw them back, because there's like kind of like an escape energy that can come with Pisces sometimes, where it's like, oh, I'll just have a few drinks, it'll get it off my mind. But why not have some nice, stretches or how connect with the meditation, with the energy and stuff like that. And so that really comes down to the choices that we make, right?
Yeah. Every day.
A little of both is probably okay too.
Exactly.
So balance and moderation, of course. Yep. All right. Well, wonderful. So if you want to connect with Melanie, we're going to be looking at that Reiki Room San Diego and to the Sojourn Healing Collective, for which I will have links on my page. And so where is my page? Where can you find me? Well, you can find me at energeticprinciples.com and on Facebook and Instagram at Energetic Principles. And you can also probably heard me speak of my Patreon subscription for tarot and the moon horoscopes and stuff like that. So if you want to check that out, that's at patreon.com/energetic principles. And if you like what you hear today, me and Melanie just talking about, all these crazy, energy with clairvoyance, which is fascinating to me, tell a friend, or telepathically tell a friend.
Energetically tell somebody.
Energetically tell someone, they'll get the message. And, help spread the good word so that people know, I'm doing this, and like people like Melanie are out there, and we're just trying to, share what it is we know. That's how you got to do it. And if you feel so inclined to say some nice things about me, I would love a review on iTunes, because it helps me get out there more to the public and help spread the good word. So once again, Melanie, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me. You're so fun.
Oh, you're fun.
And we'll meet in person soon.
Yes, I know. We're doing our own. Yes. We will energetically, have it happen here. So until then.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you so much again. All right. Well, and thank you everyone for tuning in as well. I hope you have a wonderful week. And until next time, may the stars be with you.